Thank you very much.
Take care.
I appreciate that. All right. We actually have another 2 public hearings. So the next public hearing is amending the zoning ordinance, adding special additional fees in certain Public hearing amending zoning ordinance, adding additional uses in certain I-zone for economic redevelopment. We discussed this at a workshop a couple months ago, and I know everybody had the ability to discuss it with the planner. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Or a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is now open. Is there anybody in the public like to speak for or against the I-zone economic redevelopment law that we're proposing? There being none, is any discussion on the board?
I just have, I was reading the economic redevelopment special permit, and on the second paragraph, under where it says purpose, it is the intent of the section to allow the town,
Where you crossed out town board, where they crossed out board there?
yeah,
Right there, I saw that one too. It's the
well,
intent
but it
to
says
allow
the town, the authority.
Well, the special permit envisioned by this would be granted by the planning board. You're the town board, you're enacting it, and it would be your intent to allow, provided that the uses meet any of the standards herein after review by the planning board, it would be a use by special permit in the I-zones.
So do we need the word authority over there? Can we just omit that and say to allow the town to permit to create?
Right, the board is not, right, it was supposed to have been.
What about the authority word?
I'm
No, I
sorry?
think you'd leave the authority in, the authority to permit, create,
Right.
reuse.
The town, the authority to permit it by.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And this
this
is
is-
being,
it's-
actually, if you take this, it's being inserted into Article 9, special permits, and if you go into the zoning ordinance, Article 9 are special permits issued by the planning board.
So,
And it has all of the other requirements of the special permit. And that there needs to be a public hearing, advertisement, all of that.
so it'd be another, but it'd be a special permit issued by the planning board.
As are many, there's about 15, 16.
They
that
do,
are
yeah,
handled
then
by
the zoning
planning
board do.
Right.
So. And it does say, under C, additional conditions, town board may at its discretion establish additional conditions deems necessary and appropriate based upon circumstance. So we still do have some authority in our discretion, so. All right, any other discussion on the economic redevelopment special permit?
No, I'm just happy to hear that we're finally be having this on our books, and especially now with that we'll have new owners of buildings at that site.
Yep.
They can maybe, we don't know what they're possibly going to do. This could loosen things up a little bit over
With
there.
40% vacancy rate.
Right.
This gives them a little something to work with, which is really, I think, is our intent, so.
Absolutely.
All righty, thank you, Councilman. Anything else? Any comments from the board? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a motion to adopt the local law?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Oh, wait a second.
We had to
We'll do it
this
in order.
first one.
Close the public hearing. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the local law?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Now you know why Carol doesn't like to come.
Number 3 is a public hearing to consider the formation of the Saxonwood Stormwater Maintenance District. This is a request that we had gotten over the summer from a developer. This is a 9-lot subdivision. They're going to put in a stormwater district, and I think Tom could explain a little bit more about this. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on formation of Saxonwood Stormwater Maintenance District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Public hearing is now open. Tom,
Well, exactly
just
as
a
you
little bit
said,
about-
what happened is the planning board approved this subdivision. There are certain stormwater facilities within the subdivision that only control water that are generated by the lots, not the public road, but everything else, so that these are going to require maintenance over the years. So by creating this district, the cost of maintaining those specific features that only handle water from the 9 or 12 homes, I forget how many homes, 9 lots, would pay the cost of maintaining those facilities, not all the taxpayers of the town.
Okay, so it's basically doing, forming stormwater districts, so they pay their own.
So if they go down, the highway, our highway fixes them.
We do
and bills
charge
the
it
direct
back to the
cost.
district, right? It will be a stormwater
Bills the
district. This
direct
is a
cost.
new thing that the state legislature authorized about 3-4 years ago.
Right.
Because in the past, these basins were created that really only benefited the houses, not the public road. And those in the past have been problems with maintaining it. So now with the district, there's a way to maintain it.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Anybody speak for or against the formation of that Saxonwood Stormwater District? Anybody on the board, any comments or concerns? All right, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the order to form the district?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any agenda items? All right, there being none, the first resolution is to authorize borrowing up to $1.3 million to construct the enterprise fund Cannon well fields across the street. And we've had some failures at our police department and our highway buildings in regards to the septics. And we're considering, there's 2 or 3 different alternatives, but it's a tough site. We're considering rehabilitating the septics, but because of today's standards and when they were put in, or actually just tying it into the sewer over here at Wildflower. So we would like to borrow $1 million would be borrowed for across the street to develop the well fields. As everybody knows, we've been meeting with the EPA pretty much on a weekly basis for the Superfund. Toll Brothers has already agreed to participate in the development of those fields over there. So the $1 million would be to keep that project going. And then the other 0.3 I would like to authorize for the sewer or whatever we do to fix the septics over the highway and the police department. I would point out that this is the max. We certainly, if we can get the sewer run for $200,000, we wouldn't borrow any more than that $200,000. And the same with across the street. If it turns out that we can do the project over there for $700,000, we would not borrow the $1 million. We only borrow whatever we need. So, and Mark, we've discussed this. What's the interest rate on a band these days?
In the neighborhood of 1.5%.
1.5%. And I think we talked about envisioning this would be probably, and Scott, you probably know this, 2 years till we get up and running across the street with the enterprise fund.
Yeah, I think that's a fair estimate.
So in 2 years, and in 2 years, then the funds from the enterprise fund will go back to pay the bonds. And whatever bond, if we end up taking out, we're approved to $1 million. If we take out $700,000, we're only going to be using $700,000. So the funds from that. I will point out though that whatever work we do over to the highway and the police department, that will actually come out of general town funds because they're municipal buildings. So if we do $200,000 of work over there to tie into the sewer, that will come out of the general taxes, I guess, the highway and the general fund. Or I guess, Mark, his facilities.
Yeah, all buildings are owned by general funds.
Yeah, so it'd just be out of general fund. Correct. So, and that's a question that Scott's going to look into. He's going to give us a report. I mean, we could spend, we don't know, without digging test pits, seeing what's over there. But say we were to put $30,000 or $50,000 into fixing them over there, and they might last a few years, and then we got to end up doing it again, and there's site constraints. So Scott has given us 3 different proposals. We're going to look into it further. And I think when we make some decisions, we'll include the board to see which way we go.
We're going to be Board of Health to try and get whatever information we can on the existing facilities. And that's going to be one of the first steps we do. And then from there, maybe test pitting, et cetera. But we'll have more information in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and that way we'll send it to the board, sit down, talk about it. December workshop or something like that. But this would just be authorization to borrow that money. And I do think we would have to get the projects going sometime early next year. So we don't know how much longer we have on the systems that we have at the sites. So, any questions about the borrowing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Nick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I got a couple of questions. One is, the money's gonna come from general fund for the repairs of the septics,
Right.
but we wanna borrow 1.3 millions to include that into the repairs.
Right.
They would be separately accounted for, though. The million.
Sorry?
They would be separately accounted for, even though it might be one borrowing, or it may be two separate borrowings. Either way, we would account for them separately. So the million would be attached to the enterprise fund and paid for by the enterprise fund. The 300,000 or whatever amount we ended up borrowing for the sewer would be attached to the general fund.
Right, but my question is, if we decide that the money's gonna come from general fund, why borrow the money?
Well, we don't want to take the money out of the general fund. We could, but you don't want to just take the money out that we have
It
set
spreads
aside.
out the payments over, say, 30 years. That's the
Okay,
the
so-
advantage of that. The disadvantage is the interest.
We are incurring debt anyway, so we're spreading it out to a longer period of time. The other issue that I have is, two things. Mark said that we don't have too much money available, revenues is down. He has cut whatever he can, the big stuff. Now we need to cut the small stuff. And then the town supervisor made the announcement that these two systems failed, and the liaison to one of this department was not aware of any of these issues. So how long has this problem been going on?
Okay.
Seems like only the town supervisor is aware of this. I mean,
Okay,
I did not
I can
know.
explain that. It's
Sure.
very simple. I'm the liaison to the police department.
Right.
And Peter's the liaison to the highway department. And we generally are pretty busy around here doing a lot of things, like with these laws, with economic redevelopment, a lot of projects going on. Julie's Jungle, with the sewer down on 52, doing that. We're working on a lot of stuff. And I'm the one that gets the call because I'm the manager of day-to-day operations, so I get a call. Now, we knew we had a problem with the police department about 2 months ago. Scott, you and John Metzger went out there, and you looked at it, and you said, yes, it's a problem. Looked at the flows, and I think that we're using actually the old town hall, part of the old town hall
Well, we even
septic.
kind of looked at that as a possible
Yeah.
remedy, but
Yeah, but that's not,
And we talked about it at the last workshop, because that's when the engineer was asked to do the
Yeah.
3 or
And
4
then-
different things.
I've always been kicking around at least a year.
yeah. What's that?
I think I've always been kicking around a year. that
Well, what they've been doing, just so that you know, and I don't follow this, they've been pumping regularly. They've been pumping, and so actually, we will save the money in the pumping, whatever we do, if we can connect to the sewer, we'll
Right,
save
but-
that money. But so then the other day, not the other day, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, the secretary from Highway was in, and she just said to me, oh, sewer just went. So, no, I did not think to call Peter. It was just one of those things. It was a facility, and I said, okay, let's see what we can do. So I apologize, Peter, for not letting you know
Well-
that the bathroom's backed up over there.
Well, the
But
thing
so
is
we-
that
Oh,
we-
let me just finish. So then we had to get it pumped immediately, so we did that, and then we had to look at the alternatives.
thing is that Peter is the liaison to this department, and he's been giving us all kinds of reports, and we had never heard of failing systems. Town engineer says that these failing systems have been going on for years. Peter has been on the board for a long time. And all of a sudden, we found out at our last meetings that the urgency to do something about the failing systems. So I think the board needs to know what goes on, and that's why we have the reports. As a board, we need to know whatever goes on into the town.
Maybe we have to communicate with the highway superintendent that he bring this to the board's attention.
It's possible. I mean, when I look at, like, say, a highway report, I wouldn't think that Peter would say, okay, the bathroom's backed up. I would think Peter would say, okay, they're out doing this paving project, they're out doing the stormwater project. But obviously, that could be part of the reports. I have no problem with that. I was not aware that Highway's been having their septic pumped regularly all these years, but I guess they have. The police department, that just came out of the blue. But if you look at the properties, I do believe there's a lot of rock over there. I think that they're difficult sites. The septics are, I don't know how old, 40 years old over there?
Town Hall basically failed just prior to us hooking up to.
Yeah, town hall failed, what, 4 years ago? Yeah, and it happens, suddenly. So maybe we should communicate that to the town board next time it happens. I really look at this as being more of a facilities issue than being a highway report issue, but I'm no problem reporting these facility issues to the board.
Well, I just want to make a point again, for the record, that the board should be aware when it comes that we have to decide how this money is going to be spent one way or another. If there is an issue, we give a monthly report and we have a discussion, I think we should be made aware of what's going on. So that it's not a shock that we found out that 2 systems need to be replaced and nobody else other than our town supervisor is aware of this.
The town supervisor, the highway superintendent, the chief of police, the engineer, and some of the engineering staff. Obviously, when there's a septic failure, I would certainly now that everybody insists that they be known, I have no problem with that. We have a lot of buildings, and we have different issues that happen to the buildings. But we will not spend the money until Scott gives us a report. He's already given us a report. I believe the town board has received a report of the different options that he's outlined. So obviously, we're going to let you know how we consider spending the money. And if the board feels like we should just do a Band-Aid, well, that's fine. Or if we feel we should go all the way, but that will be something the board will decide.
Right. I just want to make a comment for the record that our town controller made a specific statement when he presented the budget at the last board meeting that it's time to do some saving. And personally, I would like to see repairs rather than invest $300,000 in the system. And once our economy starts picking up, maybe we have more money available. Right now, times are tight.
It's a judgment call. This is a board will make that decision. Absolutely.
I mean, I just want everybody to know my opinion that if it could be repaired, I'd rather repair it for now. And then we'll think about re-upgrading the system overall if and when the time comes. Thank
We'll
you.
have a little better handle in
Yeah,
a
we'll
couple
make
more
that
weeks. We have
decision.
some dialogue
Yeah.
established with
I-
the Board of Health, but I don't see it going to be any kind of a cheap Band-Aid, but we'll know better in a couple weeks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to be sure again. So 1 million for the enterprise fund will be paid back by all the water districts
By the water
Well,
districts
no,
using that water.
it'll be
using
paid,
that water.
yeah, it'll be paid back by the enterprise fund, which is going to raise revenue by
Charging the water
the water
districts that
districts
use the water
that
from
use the
them.
water, exactly.
And we will be putting a 2-year ban and then applying for a bond.
2, 3, depending on,
Yeah,
we could.
it's a
How
renew-
long is
it's-
the ban good for, Mark?
Well, we can do 1-year renewables, you know,
Renewables
which is
would be
probably
fine.
what I would recommend in this case. And then if we
Because
want
we
to do
don't know
2
when
years,
it
we
will
can
be
do 2
finished.
years.
Okay.
Whenever we're sure, then we'll bond it, you know, for the full amount that is required.
Okay, and we'll tie in, if we then decide so, to lump in the police and the other bond to repair the sewer systems.
We may as well, it's just more
Right,
efficient.
and that would be paid by general funds.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you.
And in terms of the solution, I don't favor one solution over the other. I think it's a judgment call, like you said. It depends on how expensive that short-term fix is, if it's,
Yeah.
you know,
And how long it lasts.
and how long it would last, so.
Oh, take a look, and that'll be a board decision. The town board will decide which option to go with. Okay. Anything else? Do I have a motion to authorize the borrowing of up to $1.3 million for the enterprise fund and for the work of the police and highway septics?
I have an issue with that, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You know, I mean, I have an issue with borrowing that money if we don't know that we're going to be using that money.
We're not
But we won't use
We're not
it.
borrowing the money. This is a
It's just an
it's
authorization.
a construction. This is like a construction loan.
I understand.
So you're getting permission to borrow
As
the money,
needed.
but she's only going to touch what he needs. It's like a credit card limit.
I understand.
Yeah.
And also by law, what happens, even if you adopt this tonight, it has to be posted and published. There's a 35-day waiting period before it's effective, a neighbor to borrow. So the thought is to get it in the process, and then by then, the engineer will come back to you and you make your decisions to what you want.
So we didn't decide yet what we're gonna do on fixing?
No.
Just
We-
gonna
No,
get,
we're not deciding what we're fixing.
no, not yet, just approving the
but
money.
also-
But we are deciding what we're borrowing.
But
That's
nobody
what-
even said we're
This
gonna
is the
borrow
cap of
anything.
what we can borrow.
It's authorization to borrow if we need it. Okay.
Because this is going to have to be a bid project anyway, probably.
Right.
It's all rock.
It'll all be before the town board. All right, do I have a motion to authorize the borrowing for the enterprise fund and for the repair to the septics at the police and the highway for up to $1.3 million as needed?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carried. Number 2, Peter, would you read authorizing snowplow Route 12, resolution number 2?
Under the highway law, the highway superintendent is allowed to utilize private contractors to assist him in clearing the roads in winter storms. Whereas the annual basis, the town solicits bids to contractors to assist the highway superintendent. And whereas of September 25th, 2014, the town board had accepted and approved the snow plow bids for the 2014-15 season. And whereas the bid for Route 12 was not awarded, it was sent out to be rebid. Be it further resolved that the town board does hereby accept and approve the bid listed below for the highway superintendent in the clearing of the snow on Route 12.
And that bid was to Stone Ledge Contracting for the amount of $185 an hour. I think the problem was when it was bid originally, they did the wrong truck. The specs said the wrong truck, and the highway superintendent didn't know it should be, and I believe this is the 550, so. Do I have a motion to authorize the award of snowplow bid for Route 12?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Raised to authorize an easement to Dutchess County for the Palin Road Bridge and transfer the parcel to the county, subject to an agreement for pipe sleeves. Dutchess County will be reconstructing the bridge on Palin Road. Town owns a small parcel of land adjoining the construction site, which is also the site of the fire department water trap. The county has requested that the property be transferred to them to facilitate reconstruction. After construction, fire department water trap would remain with appropriate easements. And I know, Scott, have you spoken with the county at all? I think as part of our reimbursement for giving them the property, you would like to have them install sleeves,
Sleeves.
correct?
Yes, I believe it's in our written request.
Yes. So, yeah, I know, but I think it was, an idea that came up to facilitate if we had to run a water or sewer line under the bridge while they're doing the bridge, see if they'll put the sleeve in for us. And I think it's a very good idea. So I have a resolution for us to authorize property transfer to Dutchess County, request that they would include 2 pipe sleeves for future use. So do I have a motion to authorize the property transfer with Dutchess County?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Authorize the amendment to the PBA contract with respect to the detective sergeant. We just recently, last summer, created the detective sergeant position with the police department, and the town has a collective bargaining agreement with PBA. Certain amendments to the collective bargaining agreement are necessary to reflect this new appointment, and then this is a request for me to authorize to execute the attached amendment, which we have in front of us. Tom, any changes with the PBA contract, just summarize?
Right, there never was this position. It eliminates on-call pay for the detective sergeant, and then just clarifies language in the contract to include that position.
As far as that position. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Do I have a motion to authorize the amendment to the PBA contract for the detective sergeant?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 5 is to authorize attendance at a training conference for a police officer. Councilman Franco, would you read that one for me,
Sure.
please?
Whereas the chief of police has indicated his desire to send our school resource officer to a training program held at the Hilton Conference Center in Albany, New York on November 19th and 20th, 2014. And whereas the transportation will be provided by the Wappinger Central School District and the meals and lodging will be covered by the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the police chief to send the school resource officer to the training program as part of the Wappinger School Safety Team and the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, offered at the Hilton Conference Center in Albany, New York, on November 19th and 20th, 2014. Be it further resolved, the officers shall be paid their normal salary during said period.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the attendance at the training conference?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Number 6, to authorize the settlement of tax certiorari for Rising Sun LLC, on the Rise LLC, and 71 EAH LLC, the owner of the Old Silver Lake Club, challenged the assessment on the tax roll, the grid numbers included. Petitioner recently purchased the property at auction for $750,000. The current assessment we have it on now is $2 million. The town attorney and assessor have looked at it, and they've requested authorization to settle this tax certiorari for $1 million of assessed value, which would set the new value on the property, and resolve that the town attorney is authorized to sign the stipulation of settlement there. And Tom, and I always ask this with a certiorari, there's no payback.
No, not on this one, right.
This is just going to be going
This is
forward.
a challenge. The assessment will be used to levy the upcoming
Okay,
taxes.
no back from us, so no cash out of our pocket, so.
Good.
And again, looking at the sale price, it's hard to dispute. Do I have a motion to authorize the settlement of a tax certiorari for Rising Sun LLC?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried, thank you. The 7th is to authorize acceptance of land. Councilman Marinero, would you like to read number 7, please?
Yep. Whereas Joseph Fain is the owner of a property located at 716, 718, and 720 East Hillside Road in the Hillside Lake area of the town, and whereas he has indicated his desire to donate this land to the town for municipal purposes, and the town board has received a recommendation from the town engineer to accept the same. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized to accept the donation of property at 716, 718, and 720 East Hillside Lake Road from Joseph Fain. I hope I pronounce his name right.
Fain or Fine?
Fine.
Fine. Okay. I thought you had it right.
But we thank them anyway.
Okay, yes. Just got a phone call that they'd like to donate the property to the town. They didn't wish to have it anymore, and Scott looked at it and thought it would be a good idea, so we're going to accept this tonight. So
It's a good price, right, Mark?
Mark likes the price.
Is that in the budget?
Yeah. Do I have a motion to authorize the acceptance of this property?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
motion carried. I have 2 quick things off the floor. Due to the fact that Mr. Kopchak had an accident last Thursday, truck was totaled. Steve's going to be out of commission for quite a bit. He plowed the snow at the police station. My problem being, I'm going to meet with Dennis, and I'm also going to meet with Jared, who is handling the recreation duties now, management duties, to see if I can get somebody to plow police. I'm not sure if police gets plowed. I know they have a call in, they call and get somebody. So in the event that they can't supply somebody that's flexible enough to do the police station, I just asked for the board authorization so that I can put it out to bid. And I'd bring it back to you guys for a bid for approval. But if it turns out they don't have a truck that they could send over, we need to cover this. All right, obviously, if that goes out to bid, I will obviously let the board know, or I'll let you know if I find somebody that can cover this, so.
We could put out to bid like 5 shovels. There's usually 5 guys on duty over there. Darn.
Not to hear the audience tell it. There's not enough guys over there, I was told.
There's 2 over there now.
Do I
Out of
have a
title
motion
pay.
to authorize me to set out snow plow bids for police if necessary?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the last one is to set the public hearing for the 2015 town budget, and that will be for November 6th. This is just a housekeeping. Do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the 2015 town budget for November 6th? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. That's it for the resolutions tonight. There are no budget transfers. Is that correct? No budget transfers. So next item on the agenda, take public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on general town issues?
Good evening again, Ed Sloshow. Didn't mean to leave you out before. You do a great job, too. Wasn't my intention. Couple of things I'd just like to know. The Limekill Rec Center, are we making a profit on that or not?
No, but a lot of our recreation facilities don't make a profit.
Just a yes or no.
No, I just want to explain to you something that doesn't really always happen in recreation.
That's true. Couple of quick dome questions. I don't know if this was asked and answered at a prior meeting. I may have missed it, but just with regards to, if that project obviously gets approved and goes through, with regards to taxes, are we getting the full property tax?
On which?
On the dome project, if that goes through, because it's not a permanent structure,
The
so.
assessor's looking into that because they are
Okay.
treated differently as far as that. But
Okay.
she's looking into that.
All right, just another quick thing. At the school board meetings for the past, well, not this last meeting, it was taken off. 2 meetings ago, there was a agenda item on their plans for the night with a Town of East Fishkill request for an easement for John Jay. Was that part of the dome project?
That's part
Do you
of
know?
the Route 52 sewer project.
The sewer project,
Yeah,
okay.
just it would be good, it would help us if we can get the easement through John Jay, and actually it would help John Jay because they have a very old sewer system there.
I was just curious because they took it off the agenda for 2 meetings in a row, and in the last meeting, it wasn't even on the agenda. So I just wasn't sure if you had any communication with them, if there was an issue.
I think it's being vetted through council and everything over there.
Okay, I'll ask them. That's not a problem. Just last thing with, I'm sorry, I'll get back to the school question afterwards. We had the old Lake Walton project from a couple of years ago that obviously did not materialize.
It went bankruptcy, yeah.
That was, are we still receiving tax revenues on that?
Yeah.
I
We are,
believe
so even though
the
Depot, the company
Yeah.
went, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. At the last meeting, John, I had asked whether or not, what was going on with regards to the Fishkill Plains Depot and
Van Wyck?
the Fishkill Plains Bus Depot and the overflow for Van Wyck. You had mentioned when I brought it up a couple of times in discussions with Muse and whatnot that you had no idea and the town was not aware of this project. So I had gone back to the district to find out because it was kind of confusing to me.
Okay, well, I met with the Waukesha Central School Superintendent the other day to talk about it with him.
Okay.
Obviously, the project was approved, I guess, 2 budgets ago, something like that.
Yeah, 'cause they
There's been
shared just in-
transitions with different superintendents.
Right.
We had a nice chat, we had his facilities people there. We have since met to talk about it.
Okay.
And, it was just one of those things. They sent out lead agency, is what happens. They circulate under secret for lead agency. I got a lead agency letter. We never got any follow-up.
Right, so that kind of concerned me because they did share, because on April 2nd, 2013, there's a letter that notified the town of this project.
Right, that was a secret letter.
That's correct.
And then you expect through secret after that we would get their plans. We didn't get anything until we finally got a letter from them requesting a SWIP sign-off.
Okay, because according to the letter of April 2nd, 2013, they did send the information to the town.
I didn't receive any plans, I just received a notification of lead agency.
In fact, we just had to chase them down.
So it was just the assessment form? Okay, because obviously, you had signed off on the CEQA
Yeah.
No,
request form
that's just
before that,
lead
but they, I'm saying they
agency.
did not,
That's
as the
lead
lead
agency.
agency.
I don't think I
They
wanted-
did not supply you with any plans
Well, then what
or
usually
specs.
happens, once an agency becomes lead agency,
Right.
every time they have plans, they circulate it amongst all the parties.
Correct.
That never occurred. Now we're rectifying that with the school district to get that information.
Okay.
It's probably for a school district, they don't go through it that often, so maybe that's, I don't know why, but
My whole point, 'cause when you had said I knew nothing about it,
Yeah.
they turned around and said you did because you had signed off on it. Again,
Well,
the
I can sign
confusion.
off. They sent
Yeah,
us,
on-
but they send us a letter saying, would you like to, are you be lead agency? We're not interested.
Right, which,
Yeah.
right, which was acknowledged.
Yeah.
It's just the way you presented it as like that you had no knowledge of it being torn down and what was going on over there was concerning. Because the whole point I was trying to make is that we need to communicate.
Well, so to address your point, I met with the superintendent of schools the other day, last week, to talk about this, also to talk about communication, and he agrees with me that we should have gotten, and we should communicate further. And I
Right.
think I don't know what happened.
Well,
There's a
again,
lot of
there's-
stuff going on, and I said to him, I don't want to build your building, but we need to know what the impacts on our town are.
Absolutely.
And the impacts on our town, really, in that situation, are going to be mostly traffic.
Which was
and
the
water.
point I was trying to make last time. Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
And we had a good chat, and our engineers involved, we're keeping a dialogue going with that.
Okay. I mean, again, because of the old superintendent leaving, the miscommunication, because that's kind of what we
This was
keep
actually
focusing.
I think this was actually 2 superintendents ago.
Well, right. Well, was a little daisy, little revolving door of superintendents there.
Yep.
So my whole point, when you had said that, and then they had said, transparency and communication. Obviously, you're not building the building, but it's an impact here. And obviously, what goes on there also impacts other projects, as we
No,
just
understood.
discussed for 2 hours.
Right.
And even the dome project, the same
But I
thing.
think we should also be very frank with school districts, all their administration through the Department of Education.
Correct.
They're completely exempt
Right, they
from
don't
any
have
regulation
to-
of the town. Even
Right.
the fire code administration is done by the Education Department, not even the town.
Everything is.
We
But
can't even do a building inspection there.
And
They
that's
get
true,
their own
that is
building
true, that is
permits.
true too. But in my opinion, it does not give them the right not to communicate with this town and any other town to know what's going on, especially with things that within their plans affect us, especially putting in a no bus depot, where you're going to say, well, we're going to wash buses, and then you have runoff. Where's the water coming from? Where is it running into the
Well,
sewer?
if you'd like me to address that quick, I mean, I have reviewed the plans.
Okay,
It's
that would be
under
great.
purview of the DEC, the recycling facility.
Okay.
All the water gets recycled. I think it operates on 500 gallons or
Okay.
something like that.
Right.
So it's a minimal amount. It gets recycled, and DEC ultimately has to sign off on that.
Okay. So again, my whole point bringing that up was the communication. So I'm glad that you spoke with the interim superintendent, and hopefully
What
the
else was
lines
I
of
gonna do?
communication. I'm sorry?
What else was I going to do? You
No, no.
brought it up. I said I have to call
I
the
appreciate-
school guys and find out what's going on.
I appreciate that.
We also have our traffic consultant right now talking with them, looking at the traffic impact. of any-
Right, because I brought that up as well with the traffic signs and speaking with highway and everything else. There's a lot of issues going on, and the public does not get informed with a lot of things, and we're trying to make changes over there. I'm trying to be an advocate where we're one community, we need to communicate. Even though the town really has no responsibility or is not overseeing anything, there still needs to be communication because it impacts the entire community. How do you make a decision on a project not knowing that you're going to have 200 buses now coming back into this community? Or what is that impact going to be? What the district does also affects decisions made by this board on affairs of the town and vice versa. So I appreciate you doing that, and I thank
I
you.
do believe the school system still has to go through secret. They have to do their reviews of traffic studies and all that too, so.
The whole point is just getting everybody to communicate. It just makes it easier. Everybody knows what's going on. So I appreciate you reaching out and meeting with Mr. Carrion, and thank you.
He texted it to you, John.
I know, that's probably what happened.
Thanks for your help.
You're welcome, Mr. Marinello.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak on general town issues?
Good evening. John, a couple of meetings ago, there was someone at the podium that claimed they were from a small metropolis somewhere. I think his name was Bill McCullum. And at that meeting, I was accused by Bill McCullum of making a remark to him. And when I stood up to defend I was forced to stand up and defend myself. I was approached by 2 police officers who I have a great deal of respect for. I didn't appreciate that happening to me. One is that, I know them to say hello to. I don't want me to be in a spot like that. And I had asked you if you would review that tape, that meeting, and see that the problem did not lie with me, but it actually lied with you, because instead of you correcting that individual that was up here, who turned the remark to me when you should have told him to address you, the board, you allowed that.
Right. I know you said that.
Okay. Well, not
I know
only
you
I
said
said it, you allowed it.
No, but that's your
And
opinion.
no, it's not my opinion. You didn't correct it,
Okay.
okay? And that prompted me to defend myself, which in return, I was approached by 2 police officers. Even after Bill McCullum was told by the person that made the remark, I didn't make the remark to him that I got accused of. He was told by somebody else that they made it. Well, he wasn't man enough to apologize to me, but I think you ought to apologize to me for running that meeting the way you did and for allowing people to get a sense that I might be a threat to anybody or that I even needed to be approached by those police officers. I think that an apology is in order from you.
Let me get this straight.
Go right ahead.
Something was said at a meeting over which I was presiding, and I'm not sure, I think it might have been busy, I'm not sure if anybody else was talking, but somebody made a comment that somebody at you said Mr. McClellan came over and said something to you, and you had to respond to him.
He didn't come over. He accused me.
Oh, he accused you
He
of...
accused me of that I made a remark to him while he was here at the podium.
Okay.
At that point, instead of you saying to him, direct your comment to the board, you allowed him to say that without saying anything to him. And because you allowed that and didn't say anything, that prompted me to get up.
You responded.
That prompted me to stand up and defend myself and simply tell him, I am not the one that said it to you, and don't accuse me of it.
Okay.
He wasn't man enough to apologize, but I think that I'm
I don't
owed
think
an
I owe
apology.
you an apology.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Well, that goes along with your mentality, then that's all I could say,
Okay.
okay? And that's not what I wanted to say. I would have accepted your
Understood.
apology.
Understood.
I don't even believe you went back on the tape to review it. To be quite honest with you, I don't even think you did that. And I don't know if you're trying to set me up, to shut me up, to get me out of here, whatever. That's not going to happen if that's your intention. Because I know you don't like the remarks that I just said to you, but I'm here to say what I have to say. Let's see what else. Could you tell me what's going on as far as the speed limit? And I'm sorry that you feel that way, and I'm sorry that you caused me to react the way I do, because that's not me. Could you tell me what's going on with the speed limit as far as...
Yeah, I think we've got back so far about 200 responses. They're still trickling in. We haven't calculated them all. We haven't looked out, and counted them all up. They appear to be leading towards a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, but we haven't done an actual count.
So you're counting on the people to make the decision as to whether or not that speed limit should be 25 or not. You don't feel that you and the rest of the board should make a good decision? I mean, down in Go ahead.
We already discussed this, and I said that we'd like some input from the community. This is their community.
And when I spoke to you about that, input from the community, meaning what? Like I said to you, if they wanted those that speed, that may not send in a return, may want it at 40. Are you going to make it at 40 because that's what they want? Or are you going to do, I would like to think that you're as smart as the people down in New York City that are lowering the speed limit from 30 to 25 because there's a need for it. I don't think they asked the people if they want the speed limit lowered to 25 from 30. I don't think they polled the people for that. I don't know why you would poll the people on something like that. And again, I'll tell you, all you had to do, you and any other council member, is drive around Hillside Lake, see what happens. 200 people never complained to you before, did they? About speeding.
Not really.
I have, though, for the past 3 years, right? Yeah. So what that ought to tell you is this, that because people don't come forward, doesn't mean you shouldn't take an initiative. Or that somebody else has to take an initiative. Because, John, you know, John, that people depend on other people to make decisions for them. And people feel that something wouldn't be if it shouldn't be. And you also know that that's not the case. So when somebody brings something forward to you and it makes sense, or you investigate it and find that it makes sense, then you should take the initiative to do it. Whether 500 people wanted at 50 or 30, if 30 is too fast, you're the man. Why not do it? Is it about you don't want to go against votes? Is that what it is?
I'm sorry you have such a problem with us asking for input from the community, but that is all.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I said I don't have a problem with that at all. First of all, it was a waste of taxpayers' money to do that. That's number one. You could have made comment that you're going to lower the speed limit and let those have anything to say come back and say it to you. And again, I'll tell you, I don't think those people in New York polled the people in New York City to go from 30 to 20 or 25. And I'll leave it at that because I think I made my point. Could you, there's a catch basin that was installed in Hillside Lake. You may or may not be aware of it. It was supposed to be a deep sump catch basin. The catch basin was installed improperly. Anybody with a brain knows that it's not going to work the way it should. I spoke to a few council members. I would like to know if anybody found out what they plan to do about it, because if nothing gets done with it now, by next winter, by next summer, somebody's going to say that the road raised up, that the catch basin was set right, the road raised up, and you guys are going to want us to digest that. So I want to address it right now. What does anybody plan to do about the catch basin that we paid for, that was installed properly? Why, I don't know, that it should be installed improperly to begin with.
I believe that was a highway project, correct?
First time hearing of it.
That was
First time hearing of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I did
catch
address
basins were
it to some of the
installed.
council members.
Dennis is going to look at it.
Yeah, but no, I just want to go back to what he said. He said that we paid for it, but I think it came out of highway, correct? Weren't the catch basins a highway project, so.
And
they're
where does
paid
the
for
high,
by
and where's the money come from?
Highway.
Highway?
We have a highway budget.
And who puts money into?
Everybody in the town of East
Well, that's
Fishkill
what I'm
that drives.
talking about, John.
You're not just talking about the Hillside Lake
I'm
community.
not-
We all
I
paid
said
for it.
we. I
That
didn't
was the
say
big
we
we.
at Hillside
That was
Lake.
the
I
big
said we. You want to assume that.
No,
I
I
didn't
just
say
want
that.
to, I just want to
But
clarify
then you
that.
should ask me what I mean
No,
when I say we.
I asked who paid for it, because I wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah,
And
and then
I-
you came back to me and you figured that I just meant that we at Hillside Lake.
I want
Because
to
again,
clarify
you got it in for the people in Hillside Lake.
Just wanted to clarify that.
No, I'm clarifying it. You don't like us in Hillside Lake. I'm clarifying that. The other thing is, could you tell me, have we made any progress with Hillside Lake? Do you plan to do anything there for us? I mean, there's children in that development that are deprived the recreation that they have. They're normal children. They're normal children. Children that were born and raised there, that can't swim there, can't boat there, can't fish there, can't do anything that they did, or can't even really congregate. But maybe that's the goal, you know. I'm asking you, I'm not accusing you. Is the goal to keep people separated so we can't congregate and discuss things? Because I don't know any other reason that we're not moving forward with anything. So I'll ask the question again. Is anything going to be done for Hillside Lake as far as giving those children, their recreation back and a place to congregate and a safe haven without having to travel all over? Is that of interest to you?
Yes, that's quite an interest to me. We've applied for several grants, and I know you don't want to hear that, and I know that's really...
Well, I've heard it a million times.
Yeah,
Not
we've
that I don't
talked
want. You
about
want to say it again? Say it again.
No, but what I'd like to say is that, and we had discussed, I know the board and I had discussed, meeting with a focus group, I know Councilman Marinero, Councilman Franco, we're going to meet with a focus group to talk about what can be done with Hillside Lake itself. The people in the community need to be engaged to decide what they want to do with the lake. And there's a lot of issues with the lake, as we know.
Well, we know that, but maybe I need to be more direct with my question. Do you plan to use any taxpayers' money to put towards resurrecting the lake? That, not you per se, but over the years, and I understand how something can escalate to the point that it did, for the very reason that people figure that if that's not the way it should be, somebody would have did something about it. Well, we're now trying to do something. We've been trying to do something. You know, we got the brainstorm that it ain't getting better. It's only going to get worse. So, again, I'll tell you, I'm not pointing to you directly or anybody up here directly. It's not my interest. I only want to know, is the town, do you plan to use taxpayers' money to resurrect that lake, or do you just want to say that you want to see what Hillside Lake wants to do and we got to pay for it? This is the big issue, John.
I don't believe it's legal for us to use general taxpayers' money to fix Hillside Lake. It's a special park district. Just now, we think we've had this discussion.
I think we have, and I think the
quite a
town
few-
boards
quite a few
acknowledge
times,
that when
yeah.
a plan comes up and there's grant money, the town will pay its appropriate share
And we,
for whatever.
yeah, and we would work together with the people in Hillside Lake.
But if you
We
look
would
at
do
the
a
history
bond.
of all the lakes in the area that have had problems, Whaley Lake, everything else, the major thing you gotta do is you gotta get a good substantial grant to get
I
the whole thing
understand.
going.
I understand that
And in
answer.
Whaley Lake, the people were able to go to the state senator and the assembly.
I
when they
got you.
money. We
Tom,
haven't
I
been able to do that.
understand the answer very well, and I understand it's a legal answer. I'm asking you, you know, because see, for the public that might just be tuning in, they will accept that for an answer. But you and I know that the damage, that there has been damage done to Hillside Lake as a result of the drainage, the water going in there and everything else. And morally, and for the people and for the kids, you ought to help us out over there the way you want to. And again, I'll say it. And only a fool would think that I'm using this for an example, that I have any resentment towards Julie's Jungle or anything else. Anybody that wants to think that's nothing but a fool. But, and you want to help Julie's Jungle? Why don't you help us and our children in Hillside Lake? You seem to go out of your way for Julie's Jungle, and it's great.
Julie's
why
Jungle,
don't you
the
help
committee
us?
raised $200,000 to build it, and the county gave a grant for the disabled children of $150,000.
I
a
understand
grant.
that. I
That's what-
understand.
That's how they got
I
that
understand
done.
that.
And
But the town also put
But Mr. Grasso, Mr.
$100,000.
Grasso,
Yes.
if you look on the website, the town has a whole thing about Hillside Lake. There's a calculation, a formula there that DEC has said, if you want to figure out how much sediment came out of the town storm system, here's the formula. If you apply that formula, it's what, 35 trucks? It's not a large amount. We can have this debate. The supervisor indicated to you, he has many grants out there.
You know
it's
what?
not his fault that the grant money isn't coming through.
I'm not talking about the grant money, and I understand what you're saying. And what you're saying is so minuscule that it really doesn't amount to much. And
Right.
in that respect, you're right.
Right.
But I don't know who calculated this or anything
New York
else.
State DEC, the people who control it all, have the
I'll
calculation.
have to refer to some sources that I have to, you know,
Right. Look,
and go back on that. If that's who calculated that, I'll go on record as saying that they're nothing but a bunch of fools. To calculate a minuscule amount that rendered that lake useless. I wouldn't care if it was one dump truck that went in there that rendered that lake useless. Take out the
but
one
it's on
dump
the
truck
impaired-
and make us whole again.
but it's on the
Yeah.
impaired water body list because of phosphorus.
Phosphorus.
And phosphorus doesn't come from stormwater.
Yeah. And we've had this discussion many, many times before.
You know what? If we had, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think we're being taken advantage of. I think if we had the money for a lawyer, like these people had the money for a lawyer, I think if the people would come out the way these people came out, I think you'd change your tune and find a different way to approach it, the right way.
Okay. I would like to know, No, I'll just
John,
leave it at that.
you know what I'm talking about. Come on, you know what?
I'll leave
I'm
it
not
at
going to
that.
keep playing games with you. All I did was ask you a question, what you want to do. I got the answer. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to do nothing. That's it. The people know that you don't want to do anything. I just got, I think, one other little question. Well, let me get back to the catch basin, because winter's around the corner and it's an accident waiting to happen. I don't think that I heard you respond.
I mentioned it to Dennis. I'll make sure Scott and I get a hold of Dennis and see, actually out there to the site by Friday.
Okay.
Next Friday. There's a catch basin that's high.
Did you go out there or you didn't?
No, I didn't get out there.
Did anybody go out there to see?
I haven't been out there. I spoke
one
to
down
Dennis.
by
I mentioned it to him.
Okay. Okay, so do you think that we could expect to have that
I would
fixed?
expect to get Dennis's answer by next Friday.
How about the people that did the work? Why aren't they being held? Why aren't they being held accountable by the town board or somebody?
Because Dennis contracted it.
Yeah.
Dennis, I don't know how, I didn't get out to see it.
Let me answer that question for you. Let me answer the question.
It's a
It was
highway contracted
constructed
job.
improperly. The majority of the water will go down into that catch basin as the force of the water comes down. But ultimately, at the end, there will be a puddle of water comes the winter that lays there. A puddle no bigger than this. And that water will just continue to freeze up and back up and back up. And when somebody comes around that turn, it's an accident waiting to happen, and it's a liability. Furthermore, I don't understand why that kind of construction exists. I wish somebody could answer that. What are these people, incompetent that they give the bids out to? What is it, that they don't know how to do a simple thing like that? It's ridiculous.
Okay. Take a look at it, if you would, Peter.
I would like you to go out and take a look at it and say and back my words that that is totally ridiculous. I don't understand it.
That's why, though, we do have performance bonds and maintenance bonds in place. If it's something that the contractor did wrong and it's been identified, he will be responsible to fix it before he gets final payment.
This year or after somebody gets killed?
Before the contract is closed. To the extent I have not seen it, I don't know how serious the problem is about it.
Oh, it's serious.
You said it's the size of your paper?
Well, what I said was that probably the water that's going to remain there, I downplayed it a little bit for
Bobby,
purposes.
you downplayed it?
Huh?
You downplayed
Oh, I
something?
downplayed it. Probably not much bigger than this. But the water will
Come on,
freeze.
smile a little bit, Bobby.
I am smiling. I'm always smiling. All right, listen, last thing. What happened to the flowers that were around the triangle over there?
Probably frozen the frost.
What happened?
What happened? Don't say that, because I got an answer. I got an answer for that. I'm working on it. No, does anybody know what happened to them? Did they take the barrels away, the flowers away for any particular reason?
I have no idea. There's a missing barrel.
Well, the three of them are missing. And I can only assume that maybe the girl that takes care of that removed them. I have a little suggestion, because I already foresee the answers. They're plastic containers, winter's coming, they're gonna freeze. We don't want them to break, freeze, store cycle, and this and that. The flowers are dying. They have flowers that will last from now until the winter. They look pretty while they were there. Maybe somebody could speak to her and see if she can make a different arrangement of flowers for next year that will last into the winter, if her answer is going to be that they died and we took them away. Is that possible? Do we have a liaison to the beautification?
Where are these flowers?
I don't know where they
Out
are.
of the
They
budget,
were
Mark.
around the triangle in
I think that's out of the budget, right? The barrels. The barrels are out, I
All
think.
the barrels.
huh?
They're coming out.
Coming out of.
Right, Mark?
All the barrels are gone already?
Yes.
Okay. That
Because they're
answers.
getting ready to probably put the Christmas ones in over the next month with the school.
Pick up some
The
flowers.
holiday season.
That's all I wanted to know.
Pick up some flowers from
That's all
him.
I
He's
wanted
got
to
a
know.
ton of them
Are
over
we
there.
getting any Christmas flowers?
Bring
at
them
the
all
entrance?
over there.
I have no idea.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak on general town issues?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.